Coach, after the first quarter, it seemed like there was a few breakdowns. What did you guys do to adjust, or they just kind of get settled back into?
I think everybody got settled back in and got them over to the sideline, and that's what coaching's all about, is get them over there, show them what the mistakes were, and then once you get settled and you see the adjustments, you know how to take care of them.
Now, between the players, did they communicate better as the game went on?
Absolutely. They have better communication, and every time you come off the field, if you can see, none of the defensive coaches are watching the game. We're getting with the players, telling them what the next play is going to be. You're coaching the players to expect what's going to happen to them.
Sam, how pleased were you with the effectiveness of the hand signals when you guys switched that, and then also the way they communicated after Herm went out?
I thought they did a good job with it, but you're never pleased. We're still working on everything every single day. It's the standard of the system that you just have to keep working on. And, you know, it's like anything else. If you looked at that football game, there was some turnovers we created, but there's too many mental errors, and we're not up to the standard we want to be, but it was the first game, so I'm happy.
You talked all camp about the aggressiveness of your defense, and obviously that showed with 4 picks and a safety. Can you just speak to how you guys were able to kind of turn around the game with some of those turnovers?
I think like anything else, I mean, you don't even have to blitz. A lot of those things came over. We weren't even having them just play a base defense. And the guys are playing good technique and good fundamentals and reading their keys, and then all of a sudden the ball's up in the air and you go get it. Eric Gordon had a great pick. Prentice had a great pick. They just did what they were supposed to do, and they had the proper technique, and they made plays.
Not to take away from what the players accomplished, but that's also maybe testament to the coaching that Ainsley and Conklin have done with those guys back here.
They've done a great job. I think our whole staff has done a great job. I think that, you know, coming in and putting a system in, you know, we had 15 days of spring ball, and then how many we had at camp, and the kids went out there and they executed what they were able to do, and you know, we were successful, but by no means are we satisfied with anything. I mean, the bottom line is that every single day you go out on that field, when you're going to be in this program, you're going to work the fundamentals and the techniques to be perfect, because that's what's going to win the football games. A call doesn't win a football game. It's you going out there every single day competing against your opponent and having a chance to whoop his tail.
Coach Sal, were you pleasantly surprised with anybody's performance in Friday's game? Like, was there anybody you weren't sure of how they were going to do, and they pleasantly surprised you on film?
You know, I wouldn't have had them out there if I didn't expect them to make plays. So, you know, nobody surprised me. Nobody disappointed me. I don't think you look at that. You look at playmakers, and some playmakers showed up on Saturday night or on Friday night, and that's what they're supposed to do. So, well, you know, going into every week, if they do what they're supposed to do, there's 11 guys that can be playmakers. It's just who's making the plays.
So when you go back and watch the game, do you have any goals or numbers that you're looking at when you're kind of breaking down?
We absolutely have goals.
What are some of those?
Oh, those are my goals. I don't really put them out anything else. I don't give that, but you know, I think we've got a better achievement on them, and we have to handle it.
Were you, you know, being a first game, new system, were you apprehensive at all that, you know, maybe there were going to be some, as Coach says, rat traps or whatever, where guys just...
No, it was like anything else. We didn't rat trap anything. They got their calls, they applied them, and then they took care of business. But, you know, the bottom line is when you go out there and you practice with this stuff and you practice the system, it's good.
Byron Moore and Brian Randolph, I think, led the team in tackles.
Right.
Were you happy that they were up against the line, and I guess they were pretty solid in their tackling?
I was real pleased with the safeties' production in the game. I was real pleased with the corners' productions in the game. And, you know, those guys came out and they had a heck of a football game. Brian Randolph, I think, led in the production points, and I think B. Moore was second. So, but hey, that's how it is. I mean, there's other people in the program that have productions that their safeties are up there because of what we do.
Tackling overall, grade pretty well?
I thought the tackling was better. You still go out there every single week and you work on it every day in practice, and you know, that's the thing that people don't understand. If you don't go out there and practice the fundamentals of this game, blocking, tackling, block protection, you're going to get beat.
Turnovers obviously were an point of emphasis in the preseason, but how do you go about working on that, making sure you get better?
We have a turnover circuit that we work every single week, and we're stripping the ball, catching the ball, and taking care of business.
Anything differently than like other schools?
I don't know what other schools do. I know what we do.
Coach, what do you see from Georgia State, and how do you maintain?
Georgia State's going to try to spread us out, give us a bunch of different looks, give us some option, give us the zone read, and, you know, they're going to try to throw the ball down the field and Seattle's and stuff. So, you know, we just got to go play fundamental football.
What do you look for, you know, that improvement from game 1 to game 2, considering, you know,
communication, game management, you know, less MAs. That's what I'm looking for. Improve that. Assignments.
This was four takeaways plus the sack safety. There was only 18 takeaways by this team last year. How much of a point of emphasis was that before you came here? How much did Coach Dooley bring that up?
I've always been a part that if you get takeaways, you have a better chance of winning football games. And if you don't give them away, you win. So I think we were +4 on that situation, which is a very good sign. And usually in any brand of football, if you have more takeaways and you don't give them away, you win the game.
We know that the linebackers past that front line, the second team linebackers aren't extremely experienced. Is this a game that you'd really like to get some of those second stringers a lot of experience?
You know, I'm going to this game saying that Georgia State's a good football team, and you got to respect them because they do have some weapons. And if you don't go out there and do what you're supposed to do, so everybody's got to go out and play, whether you're a first teamer, second teamer. It doesn't matter. You don't know when an injury comes when you got to go in there and play. So, you know, they practice out there every single day just as much as the first team. So their experience, they've already had it in practice. You know, we get a lot of plays in practice. I think we average 70 plays per player. So.
How do you feel about the pressure you were able to put on last week? Sack numbers weren't that high.
I think he got hit 12 times and he got sacked 1 time, and I didn't like his escape. Our rush lanes have to be improved.
Were you used to being upstairs?
Yes, sir.
So that was nothing new?
Yeah. You know, I was used to being upstairs. I was down on the field. And, you know, it's just something different. You don't get as good as a view as you'd like, but, you know, you're in the mix of everything. But I think for right now, I'm good where I'm at.
I turn on the game Saturday night and I see Sunseri out there playing a good bit. Did you get to watch that?
He's a pretty good football player, and he did a nice job. And you know, I'm proud of him and what he accomplished. I'm proud of my son that played up in Pittsburgh. He played a heck of a game too. They didn't win, but you know, he didn't do anything stupid. I always look and see their MAs more than the production.
Yeah. Speaking of production, when you look at like the stats, McCullers, Centimore, no tackles, but that's not necessarily what they're supposed to be doing, is it?
I'm going to be honest with you. I want tackles from everybody on the team. So, bottom line, and depending on what you're playing against and the different personnels, guys are going to have more opportunities. But I don't care if you're the front line, the second line, or the third line. You better produce, or else things are going to happen.
How'd Big Dan do?
Did good. You know what I mean? We'll see. You know, it'll be interesting to see how many people just really want to play us in what I call 21 or 12 personnel.
Balancing act you have in terms of wanting to be aggressive, force turnovers, make big plays without giving up. You only gave up a couple big plays.
Gave up too many big plays. Gave up 6 big plays, which is not good. Too many explosive, 1 run and 5 passes. So that's not good.
How do you balance? I mean, how do you kind of balance out being aggressive?
You make your corrections and all that. I mean, you just got to play your assignment.
As far as, you know, a lot of people been talking about the 3-4 versus the 4-3. How did that break down in the game?
I really, you know, because I'm playing a combination of stuff, and it doesn't matter if we're in our base defense or in our nickel defense. We can either be a 4-man front, 3-man front. So, you know, we did a nice combination, mixture of both.